Bonjour, bienvenue à l'épisode numéro 2 du podcast de Brossard. Alors, cette semaine, John est notre invité et merci pour la paye. Donc, je prends les virements Interac aussi, John. Et on va avoir une belle entrevue avec lui. On va aussi parler des matchs, parce qu'enfin, on a eu des matchs à Brossard. Quel beau terrain. Mon Dieu que ça faisait du bien. On a eu une belle température aussi. C'était agréable. Avant qu'on commence tout ça, je vais vous présenter un petit segment qui s'appelle C'est pas grave, ça va bien aller. On va l'appeler comme ça. Tous ceux qui ont perdu, que ce soit sur le dernier jeu, en overtime, ou que ce soit juste un blowout. Hein? Voilà. Il y a un petit 30 secondes pour vous. Là. Maintenant que ce 30 secondes-là est fait, on se sent déjà beaucoup mieux, moi aussi d'ailleurs. On va passer à l'entrevue avec John et au match. Donc, bon visionnement. Alright, so bienvenue au podcast de Brossard. Cette semaine, on va le faire en anglais parce qu'on reçoit le commissaire de la Ligue. Hein, c'est lui qui a créé la Ligue, John Evans. So we're going to start with the interview. First, I ask on MFL players.
First, hello, how are you? Good to see you. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're there too. Nice guitar, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's actually not that nice a guitar, but it's functional. So they're
Good.
both functional, which is what I go for in guitars.
Cool. Well, I'm really glad you're there. You're the first guest of the show.
Hey, there you go.
I'm gonna speak in English, but you know I'm not that good in English, but I'm gonna try hard. I still think my English is better than the French of Kevin and Willpower.
Definitely me. So yeah. So thank you for speaking English for me.
You're welcome. So I ask on the MFL player group if anyone has question for you, and no one has question for you. Like you're transparent, and
There you
or
go.
they're
Well, I
scared,
think I am to some extent.
or they are scared, or it's because Will and Terry have asked a question the same day about their new segment. So it was too much to ask at the group at the same
That's a
time.
lot asked at the same time, yeah.
Yeah, we should talk about that, me and them. So I create my own question. So in 1 minute, because me, I heard it a lot of time, but for new player, maybe not. Can you tell us how you create the MFL?
Okay, I'll try to be super quick. As you said, some people have heard it. So I moved back to Canada from the United States, from Philadelphia, a little over 10 years ago. Bit of too much over 10 years ago at this point. And wanted to play football, so I just asked some of my old friends to come out, and if they had friends, and we just got games at the park where anywhere from 2 to 7 people would show up, and it was basically just throwing a ball around. And I said, you know what, I want more players, so I put an ad on Kijiji, and I just said, you want to play football? Started setting it up, started growing, kept growing to the point where we were having like 30 people show up on a given day, which is too much just to do, scrimmages. So we said, we're going to make teams. I made a website, I made the app, and we started, keeping scores, and we were just repping ourselves essentially. I mean, sort of like we still are now, except a little more loose back in the day. And then eventually one day, it was actually Josh Levine's wife, Alex, who said to me one day while I was taking down the field that you could charge people for this. And so you can thank her for the fact that it costs money now. No, but we never would have been able to grow to this size if I wasn't doing it sort of as a job. So yeah, at that point, I think the next year we went to Arthur Terrian because we were at Louis Cyr in St. Henry at that point. But yeah, then we went to Arthur Terrian and started doing it for realsies.
Yeah, that's where I joined.
There you go. Yeah, I think you were the first year with us, right, at Arthur Terrian?
Yeah, I joined the Holy Trollers as a free agent.
Okay. And then it was like the next year that you made old school. I can't remember how quickly that happened.
It was not the next season, the season after. So
Okay,
now I
yeah, the
think
next
the spring. Yeah,
yeah.
next year. Yeah, yeah. I remember that day because I was coaching the Tie Cats at Verdun,
That's right. That's right.
and just before we go to the away game in the school bus, I was looking at the field and say, "Hey, that look nice." And I go on the field and I saw you, and I'm like, no, that cannot be the guy I'm gonna ask for play. So I searched to someone who didn't have your haircut, and they all told me, yeah, it's the guy with the mohawk. I'm like, okay, well, no judgment.
I'm trying my hardest not to look like I'm serious, and so no one will take me seriously. It's good. It's covert.
Well, that worked that time. So, and after that, yeah, I joined the league.
Yeah, and I think old school has been with us that whole time, and now in Brossard, uh, which uh, which you guys were also part of starting because you were one of the few teams we had when I just said, you know what, even if we don't have that many teams, we're just going to do Brossard anyway, just to get it going, and then it was you and Steve, and I think we ended up finding a couple like new teams that year, which was great. But
Yeah,
yeah, that also happened because of you guys, which is great.
that answer and a little bit more than 1 minute. That was a great answer.
Well, I think the first part was the answer. The rest of it was just
Good talk.
uh,
Uh, okay. Wow, in English, how do you catch like the not the football, but the how do you start to watch football or play football, or what happened in your life that you say, hey, that's a game I want to play?
Oh yeah. So my dad's a big football fan, Notre Dame specifically, which is relatively common in Montreal because back when my dad was growing up, Montreal only got the New York feed, I think, for NBC and ABC and all that, and they every week would play two college games every Saturday. And then I think I gave it nine. I'm not sure if they were doing it at that point, but two college games. One of them would be some random game, and then Notre Dame versus whoever they were playing. So that's why you have a lot of Notre Dame fans in both Montreal and like New York City, even though they're not particularly near Notre Dame. So he watched that. So I grew up watching that with my dad and the NFL as well. And I don't know, throwing a ball around with my brother and friends when I was a very little kid. So just from that.
Did you actually play in a team before flag football?
No, I always played pickup games with friends. I was always kind of even when I was younger, I was sort of a guy who organized a lot of sports. Like I got like just for fun, not in the way the MFL is, but I would do things like see if I can get 15 plus guys together to go play baseball one day or football at the park and or just hockey in the street, whatever it was. I just like playing sports, and so but I kind of liked organized sports rather than just messing around. I mean, we were just messing around, but like having actual teams and things like that, and not just being four people with a ball and a net, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So yeah, that's sort of what I did when I was younger.
Back in the day, that was more complicated without internet to join 15 pre.
It was. That was way more just, do you know someone? Do they know someone? How
Yeah.
many guys to show up? How many guys can you get to show up? That sort of thing.
Uh, cool. All right. So I'm guessing your favorite team in the NCAA is the Notre Dame
White
Irish.
Irish. It's the only team in the NCAA. But for the NFL, I tend to go for either teams that people in the league like. I honestly don't really have a team in the NFL that I care that much about. There are teams I like more than others, but there's none that like I love this team, I hate this team, that sort of thing.
For a couple of
Um,
years, you like the Browns.
yeah, I started going for the Browns just because they went like 0-16 or whatever the previous year, and I was just like, well, no one can accuse me of jumping on the bandwagon. So I started going for them at the end of that year. So because when I was younger, one day my dad came back from a trip somewhere and he had two jerseys, a Patriots jersey for the quarterback before.
Brady was Bledsoe.
Yes, thank you. Couldn't even remember Brady's name. Had no chance of Bledsoe. Yeah. So and the Washington and a Washington what it was at the time Redskins still jersey. And basically he gave them to my brother and I, and so we had to pick which one we wanted, and I picked the Patriots one, even though I had no idea who the hell they were. And so I was going for the Patriots when I was young. But being someone who doesn't really care about an NFL team, and when they say, "Who do you like?" and you say the Patriots, they're like, "Oh, you're just jumping on the Patriots bandwagon." It's just like, well, not really, because I don't actually care that much. So yeah, I don't. That's why I picked Cleveland. But I don't know. I love watching the NFL, but and I definitely have like sort of a spectrum of preference for teams, but yeah, no one's like super high or super low on that. Like I don't really care. I
Okay.
go for teams that like you guys go for. Like when Kansas City's playing, I'll go for them because you're a fan. Like if San Francisco's playing, I'll go for them because like Barbara and Francis like them, and I know there's a bunch of Patriots fans and Baltimore fans and things like that. Green Bay, uh, you
But
know. But I
when
also like. I tend to go for just the underdog. I go for whoever's not favored
okay,
because I
the
like
underdog.
it's not supposed to win.
So if the Chief play against the Dolphins, you're gonna cheer for.
Oh, I gotta cheer against Willie, even if you weren't a fan of the Chiefs. I gotta cheer against Willie. No, but again, I'll go for the Dolphins if they're playing. I want the guys in the league's teams to win. So that they're happy about that. Like, it's. I think it's more interesting to watch a game if you can kind of care about one team in some way. And so that's what I do. I just care about them based on what you guys care about. And that way I can actually be going for someone rather than just sort of watching it as a football game, which is fine. I've been watching XFL highlights, and I don't really care about. I mean, obviously, I'm a Battlehawks fan for life, but I don't really care that much about those games. But it's fun to watch as football. Um, yeah.
Cool.
Which, by the way, why is the XFL so much better than USFL? It even sounds like the USFL announcers don't care about the games. I watched the highlights of the USFL, and those announcers are just like, guy scores a touchdown, pause for like 2 seconds, and there's a touchdown. And this is what school did you go to for announcing?
You know why?
Yeah,
It's because they don't pay enough. Oh,
probably.
I have to clean that for because I get asked by some people in the beginning of the season when I post those memes that if I have a beef with you, and Terry got asked the same thing, but like we know each other for a long time. It's not a real beef. He pay me, not but
Well, yeah, I
he
mean, like
still
even in our little media group, we all pick on each other, and that's
yeah.
fine to do.
So don't worry, people. I'm not in war with John. I will not play in both league if I wasn't.
Or
Um, when you get back and when you start at Louis Cyr, did you ever picture that you're gonna have like 50 team in Montreal and like 11 in another place? And
I I thought at the time, like, if we could get like a solid sort of 12 to 20 teams going year to year, that would be great. That was sort of like, but we had a few years that it just blew up. We had like one year where we went up by, I think Montreal went up by 12 teams in one year, like spring to spring. Um, yeah, I really didn't think all that would happen. And in fact, this year, honestly, we kind of like self-capped at 50 a little bit just to protect the field. Like we easily could have put probably two or three more teams in. But we just, yeah, we don't want to totally destroy the field. And it's our first year doing the kids league, so we're figuring out the timing of all that stuff. So we knew we could do it 50 teams, but now I wish we had put those 2, 3 extra teams just to be a bit bigger. But yeah, I mean, it's constantly growing, and I'm always amazed, like in Montreal, how much demand there is to play flag football and how quickly it's growing. And I really like to see the people who are new to the sport sort of fall in love with it. because you see so many people who are, let's say not necessarily the most athletic people in the world, or they just don't play that many sports or what have you. Well, I mean, I'm talking, yeah, people are new to sports in general, let's say, and really don't even necessarily know football. And it's just like they know that flag is it's a non-contact game, and it's safe, and it's it's about catching and running and all that kind of thing. And I see people who have never played before in their first year sort of fall in love with the game, and that's probably my favorite thing to see.
Okay.
Which, yes, obviously leads to the league growing, which is great as well. But it's more that I just like to see people having fun. Someone I didn't know on the opening weekend this year came up to me and just said thanks for making this great league, and I just thought that felt really good. I mean, this person who I don't know as well, like someone who's just found, well, not that I don't know him, but the fact that they found this league and it's something they didn't know existed, and now that they found it and have a place to play the game they love, and they're loving it.
Okay.
So
You
yeah.
didn't answer like a politician, like, thank you, dear voters, that just pay me for
I said, who are you? Go away from me. This is the rep area. You can't be here.
I just want to say thanks. Fuck you. Okay. How much you think? Do you have a limit in your head of how many field teams you want in the next years, or?
Well, I think realistically, at some point between Arthurtarian and we're working with the cities now a little bit more closely to try to have them take better care of the fields, and they have given us some assurances that they're going to put more effort into it, and they're meant to be having like a specialist come by 6 times this year to LeBaire to analyze it and determine what they need to do to keep it in better condition.
Oh yeah, that's grass. Oh,
I'm,
that grass
yeah,
were not full there.
I mean, if anyone listening to this knows a grass specialist who can fix our grass, we're willing to pay for you to fix our field. Like, I actually kept thinking about like going and basically cutting out those dirt patches, the parts where it's bad, and just putting grass down, like putting new grass down. That's basically what they did to that soccer field behind us in the goal areas. They just they cut it open, put new grass down, covered it with a tarp for 2 weeks, and it was way better. It was like good. The city
You
said
know,
they might do that for us, but who knows? Anyway, the fields have to be maintained in better condition overall to stay at just 2 fields. Otherwise, we are looking at the possibility in the future of playing at a third field, or potentially putting some games on a synthetic field somewhere, so that don't have the same wear and tear, so that we can sort of rotate things around there.
do you know
Um,
where it's a great field, and I know
where is that?
Brossard.
Yeah, Brossard, and that's what I was saying, is really easy because they have so many fields. Like just the one park we play at, Illinois, has 2 big grass fields and then 2 big synthetic fields. So like Brossard, just at that one park, could theoretically grow to 60 plus teams easily.
Yeah.
Which is why I really want Brossard to grow. I mean, I want Brossard to grow just because it's really nice to have football on that other day. There's a lot of people who can't play on Saturday anyway, so they go play on Sunday.
Parking is
But
easy. It's free. It's super close. It's I don't know. It's a place.
it's very nice to play there, and yeah, it would
Yes.
be
Bathroom.
yeah, there's a bathroom and everything. Yeah, if as that continues to grow, we'll obviously like expand onto the other grass fields, and then potentially back onto the synthetic fields long term. So yeah, I'd really love to see Brossard just grow over time. It's still sort of at its beginning phase, and it grows a little slower than Montreal because of population density, obviously, but it is slowly growing, and sort of the same sort of thing happened with Montreal, where we were 4 teams, and then 6 or 8 teams, and then 10 teams, and then 12 teams, so like small jumps. And then somewhere around 16 to 20 teams, we started jumping like 6 to 10 teams a year.
Exponentially.
Yeah. So I'm hoping the same thing eventually happens to Brossard. Again, probably not going to happen in the same way because of just the population, but I feel like it'll get there eventually. And we're also considering like weeknight league somewhere, not on one of the fields we currently use. We're considering doing like one-off tournaments sort of
Okay.
thing. Some sort of very going off your question now, but yeah, we're considering doing some one-off tournaments of cash prize tournament type thing, and uh, doing those, let's say, over 1 or 2 nights during the week, something like that. And we've got ideas to expand further than just playing on the same 2 fields in Montreal all the time.
Uh, which one is your favorite logo in the league?
Oh, that's I
Let's
don't think
say one for Brossard, one for Montreal.
that's really tough. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, the thing with Brossard, I mean, the Outlaws is pretty iconic at this point for the MFL. So I don't want to say that though, but it's a good logo, but it's so like it's everywhere, and it's like almost it's on the website almost as much as the MFL logo itself. Uh, I'd say Brossard, maybe the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
I quite like that, or old school. I quite like theirs. Um, for Montreal, I'd have to look. I'd have to look. I don't know. I'm just trying to think off the top of my. I mean, I like the Grow Cox. I like the angry little chicken. That's a good one. Obviously, I like the Iron Wolves, made by Mauricio Toscano. Just like the MFL logo itself, by the way. Same guy who made the
Yeah.
Iron Wolves made the MFL logo. Um, I'm just looking through the teams right now, and I mean, you can't complain about the nice TD's logo. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with that. I'm on Div 4 now, and I can't quite find it. Speaking of Div 4, we just moved the team down to Div 4 from Div 3. That was quite the little move we had to make. But I kind of like the name Kiss My Pass. I don't know why. I know it's like very
It's
like I know it's not
obvious.
original, but I kind of like it. Um, I like the fact that this year all of our free agent teams um, very quickly and before the first week had names, and I think at this point all of them, besides the Brossard, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about in Montreal, and I'm sure
Yeah.
the Brossard one will have one very soon.
Yeah, no
And they all
pressure,
have
but get it done.
yeah, get a name. Yeah, they all have logos and names, which is really impressive. We had like we have teams that have been around for a few seasons that didn't have a logo that still just have the generic MFL logo. So for 3 free agent teams to all have a name and a logo before week 2 is great.
I remember the year that the team get the name Team 9 and just stick with it till the end of the season. That's gonna be our
Yeah,
name, Team
and they
9.
won. I think didn't they?
They won, yeah.
Yeah, I think we have Team 9 on a. I think that was that like Chris Hope's first year. No, it wasn't his first year, but it was maybe
It
it
was
was
like it was begin of Chris Hope. Yeah, it was in
yeah.
Div 2
Beginning of Chris Hope, the
yeah,
Hope era.
before all the injury he got and all
Yeah,
the disease he got and
God
everything.
willing, play. God willing,
He still play.
he does. He does.
Uh, what's your favorite offensive playbook? Play like that you like to call?
Uh, So I know everyone loves triple slants. I don't know. I'm not that huge a fan of triple slants. It's really effective. I'll admit. Um, but I like my 3 deep. It's like 2 goes on the side, a post on one side, a 7 hook from your other slot, and the center sneaking out underneath it. It just because it's such an easy read. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's if it's covered, it's trouble. But whatever, you throw it for 1 yard gain to your center. But if any of those guys aren't covered, it's such an easy read because everything's right in the same area. You don't have to scan the field. You're just sort of looking in one spot and it's all there.
Makes
So yeah,
sense. I'm gonna
I
have
hate
that.
all hooks. I don't know why, but I hate all hooks. I feel like it's so boring.
Wow.
So.
Oh, looks, it's the Nick Blair play. Each time we go in the huddle, I don't go
There are
even
many
though when
guys
he throws.
who you get in the huddle and it's like all hooks, every other play, all hooks. Iggy on our team is famous for basically saying, calling out on defense. He always says, either it's the same play or all hooks. So when you're in the huddle really fast, it's either the same play they just ran or all hooks.
Yeah. Another one. What's your favorite football movie?
Favorite football movie. The guys talked about that on the Montreal podcast, eh?
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
let me tell you, Will do not know his cinema at all. It's
I mean, I'm gonna have to say Rudy. I think I have to be obvious like that. But I do like in what is it, the last Boy Scout? Is that it? Where the guy at the beginning is running down the field and he takes out a gun and he starts shooting the defensive players. Because something about here, there's like I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's like there's been a bet made about and they need to win or like he's gonna be in big trouble with the mafia or something like that. And I just remember watching that and thinking, like, even if he scores, does he think this play is gonna stand? Do you think like, well, there's technically no penalty against shooting people in the books, so I'm gonna call that a touchdown. Like, I mean, I just don't know how he thought that through. Because it wasn't like he just did it in the spur of the moment. He snuck a gun in his equipment. And like with the assumption, by the way, that well, we might be losing late in the game, and I'm gonna need to shoot some people to win this thing. And at no point thought he might get flagged for that. So
Maybe it's time to add it to the MFL rule book. No
yeah,
gun,
yeah, no
knife.
shooting people. I thought it was assumed, but I'll just say it now. No shooting. We're not gonna count that.
It's a flag. It's at
It's a
least
flag.
on sportif.
5 yard penalty. All right.
If you shoot someone, it's 5 yards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know.
Oh,
Fuck
uh,
off. We'll call back a touchdown. We will call it back.
so yes, no gun and MFL. Three other question. Super fast. We're gonna try. People don't know at which point you are patient, even if how can I say that? You work with Kevin since so many years. People should understand that part. There's one thing that how can I say that make you lose patience, that grind you like why people after 10 years don't understand that part. Like
I would say it's not a specific thing, but it's tough with newer teams who argue rules a lot when they don't know the rules. And like I've been questioned from things like, oh no, it's only 1 foot in bounds in this league. I've been told that, and I'm like, pretty sure it's not. But there are teams that will just sort of early on when you don't have experience, you're not sure what's a penalty, you're not really sure of all the little nuances of the rules, and it can start to get to you. I get that, like, oh, we keep false starting. New teams false start all the time. And in lower divisions, we tend to let it go a bit because otherwise, Div 5 games would be 2 hours long as every other play is a false start. But when it's halfway through the season and teams are not getting it and they're complaining about, all the penalty calls against them or how this isn't a penalty or how this rule doesn't work like that or whatever. And you're just thinking, this is literally in the rule book. Like you're arguing a thing with me that I wrote. And I know that doesn't mean I look, honestly, Terry knows the rule book better than I do. And but I still know it pretty well, I'd say. And so
yeah.
their first year and they're arguing rules, it's very it's tough to stay totally composed. I don't mind people asking me about rules, but when they're whining about calls or rules, it gets to be a bit much. And then it's
Yeah,
also surprising some teams that have been with us for years don't know rules. Anyway,
I
that's
know, but
probably it.
sometimes I always try to get the defense of the ref and the ref part, but when you play, you're in the game. It's like 30-degree outside. You lose patience. You lose your.
Okay,
It's sometimes it's you have quicker reaction to the ref. Like what the hell, man?
oh yeah,
But
yeah. No, when it's hot, you have to expect it as a ref, but at the same time, you're also in that same heat, and so it's tough for you to maintain yourself. It is just very tough. And like I think last year I kind of lost it at one point in a game, or maybe it was a couple years ago. I don't remember, but yeah, I think it was last year because we had those 3 or 4 weekends in a row where it was like 30 plus degrees every week, and just by the end of it, I was still not recovered. By the third Saturday, I was still fatigued and out of it from the previous weekend. So yeah, by that point, it was just tough to maintain any level of composure.
yeah, yeah. I remember that weekend because I told you I scream at one ref and my own team, and you say no worry, I scream at my own ref and my own teammate, and I think Steve the game right before on this side did the same thing, and it
Yeah.
was fun.
But
Um,
luckily for me, the ref also understood, the situation and said, yeah, it's okay. And I think all of us sort of just accepted the fact that things were said that weekend that the heat was just we just blamed it on the heat. So we let it all out.
um, one team that you wish you play with and the
uh,
MFL.
a team.
You can name one team in Brossard, one team in Montreal that you wish that you play like in the roster. Not like I know you play one game with old school, you play one
Yeah, yeah,
game.
yeah. For me, honestly, it would be I don't know this year because actually the D5 teams are all pretty good, but like they're not all the beginners are no longer beginners, complete beginners, and even the free agent teams are decent. But generally, it would be years that either a new team or a free agent team that just didn't know the rules that well, or didn't. Oh, no, it's not even about the rules. They didn't know how to run plays or run defenses. Um, I would have loved to be on one of those teams to just sort of guide that team
Okay.
to sort of help them understand the game. If we're talking about like just a team that I think it would be fun to play on,
Yeah.
I'd like to play with Growcocks.
Okay.
I think they'd be a lot of fun to play with.
Just to bench them or
No, 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 not as a quarterback.
okay,
As a
okay.
receiver. No, no,
Yeah.
benching Dom. uh, but yeah, no, I feel like that would be a lot of fun to play with those guys because it's always honestly it's fun to play against those guys. I don't know, I never feel bad when we lose to them. I don't think they get pissed off if we win against them. Uh, it's always fun with those guys, so I'm sure it would be fun to play with them.
Yeah, that's nice. And then Brossard? Yeah, it's still the Brossard podcast. I have to ask.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm just, I mean, the easy answer is like to play with Jackrabbits again, but Jackrabbits is like such a different team at this point. Uh, but I'd like to play with the Jackrabbits again if I had a team there. Honestly, like all the Brossard teams are pretty chill and pretty fun. Like I don't think I would have a bad time on any of those teams.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, the only one in particular would be, I guess, the Jackrabbits, just to play with those guys again.
because you already have the shirt also.
And I
So
have already had the shirt, yeah.
that's
Although
it.
I noticed someone wearing like one of my old shirts at the game.
Yeah, I think it's Roxanne or Shamrika. It's one of
No,
them. It's
who's the
Shamrika.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saw the first on the back, and I thought for a second, oh, that's weird. That was up. Oh wait, I was like, that's my shirt.
Last question. Let's gonna finish with that. Name one victory and one loss that you always remember.
For a victory, it would be three. Can I name three?
Yeah, yeah.
For
Go ahead.
victory, it was the when I think the first time we had divisions when I was with Ball Hawks with like Silvio and all those guys and like Eric uh, when we won a championship then. Um, I'd say the game I subbed in where the where I had 0 incompletions in Div 1, where I had that
Oh,
perfect
wow.
game in Div 1. And then I think the game winning against the Grocock uh, 2 years ago, the last time I played Div 1. It might have
Okay.
been 2 years. Um, because that was the beginning of sort of my arm starting to fail, and so it was
Okay.
already failing around then, and my shoulder, I mean.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I got through it at that point, but by the time I played the final, it was done. I couldn't throw properly anymore. So I really enjoyed that win, and then just got decimated in the final against the Outlaws.
It's the on the
Uh, I'm
graphic. It
not sure
was the
even if I
last
could
pick.
throw.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mind that much because honestly, I was just like, I think I pulled myself relatively early because I just couldn't throw the ball. And so it wasn't, I didn't feel that one that much. I was more just like, damn it, my arm like doesn't work and this sucks. Um, I'm not sure, obviously the Outlaws were, I think, probably heavy favorites anyway. So I'm not sure if my arm was perfect, we would have won, but it wouldn't have been as bad and it wouldn't have been as painful. So those are the three. The loss. I don't know. I don't. I mean, besides that loss where we lost, where I got all mad at the ref on that weekend, just because I remember it so much because of that. Because there was like one call and it was, I thought, very bad. Uh, but I don't know. I don't feel like I hold on to the losses that much. There's um, there's so much going on during the day that I have to do that I don't really have time to like be like, oh damn, I lost, and then because I immediately have to do something else, and immediately there's people waiting on the sidelines to ask me questions about things as soon as my game is
Yeah.
over. So uh, yeah, I can't think of any particular loss that's a real killer to me.
That's the difference between you or like let's say Terry when he actually can walk or run and other people that after the game you don't just sit and say, ah man, I lost that. No, you have to do like 300 other things. You go home,
Yeah,
you're just overly tired and burn
there's
everywhere
still
and
stuff to do. When I get home, still got to pay the refs and
pay the ref.
deal with everybody's questions from the day because it's not like they're not sending me messages during the day. So yeah, so it's been, yeah, basically like it's nonstop until sort of Sunday evening. So I don't really have time to sit there and like worry too much about losing a game
Oh, that's good. That's good.
because I lose all the time. So it's good that I.
That's the start of my boat season. Right now, I'm losing everywhere.
Okay,
And, oh well, I
hey,
go
it's all right.
home, I get mad, but my kid is just, hey, dad. I'm like, well, okay,
There you
let's
go.
move on.
More important things.
Huh?
More important things.
Yeah, one. Yeah, 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 yeah. For real. Yeah, but I think like last Sunday, it's not that the I was mad that we lost on the last play. It's just my neck to my elbow. It was just pain all over there. So I speak with other person, but I was so in pain. Then people probably just say, "Wow, wanna this guy take it hard that loss?" And no, I don't really care. It's just that if I can cut my arm, I will feel better right now. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Well, that's
so
like with that Outlaws game where I said like I didn't really care about the game. I cared more about the fact that my arm was hurting so much that I knew it was serious. I knew it wasn't nothing.
yeah. I have a reputation that I'm at one game, one season to be the sportsmanship award at my name. So I have to smile all the time, say, hey, good game.
There you go. And you are very polite with the refs.
I try a lot because I hate the time I ref. So I try to make their experience more easy.
Also, I think you'll find that the refs generally will subconsciously, of course, lean slightly in your favor if you're being nice and the other guy's being a dick.
Yeah, or at least they have tendency to explain it more in details, what happened,
Well,
why.
no, I mean, it's a lot easier. Let's say someone politely comes over and says, "Hey, can you watch out for this over there?" It's a lot easier to like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to watch out for that now," than some guy screaming at you for a missed call. Anyway, we're off topic again.
Oh, yeah, we're off topic, but it's take
The
notes.
podcast. That's what you do.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about the game. First game of the weekend. You play against. I'm gonna have to go in Div One. You play against
Yeah, well,
KLB
yeah.
Div
Uh,
One.
so first, we got to change that name from Team Evans. As much as I like Team Evans, I feel like my team needs to come up with a name. But KOLB was missing the Plurd brothers, so like, yeah, totally different game. But their quarterback, who I feel like I've seen him throw a bit in the past, maybe a full game, maybe not. He was great. He played great. Uh, my team, I saw was
Alexandre. Yeah, Alexandre is a great
yeah,
player.
yeah. And so I mean, it sucked for them to lose him as a receiver, but he played very well as a quarterback. My team, we were five to start the game for the first couple of drives, but we were actually up, I think 13-6, playing 5-on-6, and
Okay.
then we started losing it a bit when our three other guys showed up. So we ended up coming back and getting the win. But I'd say that the two big stories were the fact that they were missing two of their key players, but we were also a bunch of guys who one a quarterback who hasn't thrown in a year,
Yeah.
and a bunch of guys who have never played together. So I think even though in my mind should have done better than we did because KOLB was missing two top players. I think they were actually missing three guys, but two top players, including their quarterback. We should have had an easier time of it, but because the newness of everything. But the big story is I got 2 sacks. That's all that
Yeah.
really matters in that. And at one point, proudest moment of my life, because I came out as a rusher when the rest of our team showed up. I had to rush because we were only five, right? So someone's got to do it. When the rest of the team showed up, I wasn't playing defense anymore. And at one point, Dylan came over to me and said, "You're going back in as rusher." Proudest moment of my life. And they didn't score again, by the way. They'd
Hey,
taken the lead. Once I went back to rusher, they didn't score again. So there you go. Rushers out there gotta watch. That's by the way. I didn't vote for me for player of the week. I don't do votes on player of the week unless there's a tiebreaker that's needed. But I was voted player of the week for my defense, not for my quarterbacking. So there it is, rushers out there. The bar has been set.
you think it's
Uh,
because all of those years as a QB, you barely run, you keep that
yeah,
for
it's
that
all.
moment?
I will still say I wasn't exactly running quickly either, but it was all just contained, It's all just contained. And a couple times with a long reach grab of a flag, that was it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and those guys are always fun to play against, and they're good guys. And the
Yeah.
thing is, in Brossard, it's like every team is nice guys, and it's not that big a deal to if you lose or win. It's it's just generally fun. Not that it's not like that in Montreal, but just
Yeah, well, too late. That's gonna be the just the moment I'm gonna keep for.
Um, do you want to go to the other games that only I saw, or did you want to cover one of the ones that you saw?
We can go with. We're gonna finish D1. It's just another game. So
Okay.
I didn't saw it, but old school. Well, I heard about it. Old school versus Hotla. 21 old school, 42 Hotla. Did you saw that game or you play in the same time?
I was refereeing the other game.
Okay. So what I've heard, it's GC play well as a QB for old
Oh yeah.
school. And when you go look at the stats, he played well. He got 226 yard, 3 touchdown, 2 interception. Uh, for people who didn't know, Daik is out for the season. He will not play.
Oh, I did not know that. That's too bad.
Still on concussion protocol. So yeah, when you see him, don't speak too loud near him. Don't open the flashlight for fun near him. No, it's not. We think I think about him a lot because it's not easy what he live right now. So GC has to replacement. It was supposed to be GS from Spritz gang,
Oh yeah, that's what I thought you guys were doing.
but I think he got injured him too on his knee.
Oh, wow. Okay, I did not know that.
So GC go and get that. But you know it's Outlaw, so
Yeah, Outlaws in every division in every league is always going to be a good team.
yeah. But it's not. You know, Max Sana is still have I think 3 sack, 2 sack, uh, 2 sack against Steve. That's good, and
That's as many as I had.
so that's excellent.
So that's excellent. Yeah,
That's
that's a margin.
excellent. You know, those guys from Atla, they always and Steve know how can I say that, drive the field. He know his
Yeah,
offense.
yeah.
You
Steve's
do
an
that.
okay quarterback, I'd say.
He's,
He'll be with a little. He's decent right now. With a little time, he could be good.
yeah, he's not one of the Hall of Fame first, second year Hall of Fame that
I think
enter.
that was as a builder. I don't think as a player. That seems ridiculous. I think he's got to win at least 5 more D1 championships to get in the Hall of Fame.
Oh
If he does
yeah.
that, he'll win the Hall of Fame twice.
Okay. Take note, Steve. I think he can do it. That's the word. So yeah, I want to speak more about that game, but I think it's the one of the only game that wasn't close this weekend,
Yeah, you're right. Every other one was within one score.
and it showed that for Atla it's really good, but it still showed for old school that Dijk wasn't there, that Nick
Oh yeah,
Blais,
if Dykes there and JC's a receiver, that's obviously a totally different game.
yeah, Nick Blais still not there either. So
Is he going to be?
yeah, he's in
Not gonna
Europe
quarterback.
right now.
But no, it's Div One. Is he going to quarterback?
I think he's gonna quarterback, and GC is gonna play receiver.
Yeah, that'll make a huge difference.
Yeah, even on defense, you put GC and
Oh yeah, for sure. Like no, that game's obviously going to be a lot tighter, or a very close game if those guys are back.
yeah. Next week, you play against old school.
So
Evans team.
JC's still out. Hopefully JC's. I mean, no, not JC. Nick, is he Nick still out, or is he going to be
Um,
back?
I think he's still out next week. He's still in
Uh,
Europe. Too bad. I can feel the pain on your face right now.
yeah. Well, look, my team is still figuring out, us as a group. So, anything we can take early on, we'll take. So, if you
Yeah.
guys, if old school is missing a quarterback, their regular quarterback, that'll help us out a lot.
Oh well, just send them a thanks note to Nick in Europe, and
There you go. There
or
you
you
go.
can send like a transfer of money. Say keep another
Stay a
week
little
then.
longer. Yeah.
Atla and KLB. I think if the Plough brother will not be there, it's gonna be again a 42
I
something.
think they are there. My understanding is they were just on a fishing trip. So I don't know how long fishing trips last, but I'm assuming they'll be back.
Depend if you go on a fishing trip like with in the Godfather Part 2, he never get back from that fishing trip.
Oh
So
yeah, if they go on like one like that or a Deliverance style one, it's trouble.
okay, but I think Outlaw still gonna win, and I think your game, I don't know. Outlaw old school versus the Evans.
We'll do our best. We'll do our best. But like I said, we're still figuring out how to gel together.
Okay. So Div 2. I play versus Lawrence team.
Yep. Yeah. Those guys aren't bad, it seems.
They seem what?
It seems like they're not bad. The
No, they're
Spartans.
not bad, but they have a backup QB. They
Okay.
take a sub, and he's a good QB. And at the half, the captain of the other team, I'm not good with name. I think it's GF. I will say it like that. Come at me and say, "Do you mind if he stop playing QB and play as like a receiver or a snapper because his shoulder is injured?" And I'm saying, "Yeah, no problem, man. We are in Brossard. It's D2. Just thanks for asking. That's the right thing to do. No problem." And he made the final touchdown on the final play.
Wow.
That cost us the game, but you know,
But that's still, I mean, that's still a close game. That's still
yeah,
like, nothing was unbalanced there.
no, but I throw a pick six, they throw a pick six, so it's balanced there. Sharmrika, it's new to the league. She got a safety that's helped the game.
Great.
Yeah, no, it was a really good game. I tried to spread the
That's
ball.
someone on your team?
Huh?
Oh, the girl who had the sixth shirt, my shirt.
Yeah, you're sure.
Yeah, good for
Yeah,
her.
yeah, it's her first time
That's
she played,
awesome.
and it looked like she had fun. I tried to give the ball approximately equal to everyone. It's the first time that I go in my huddle and I see my snapper and four girls. But yeah, they all play good.
Yeah, obviously, a close game like that, obviously everyone played well.
Yeah, both team. The rusher on the other side was really quick, really really quick. I have
Was
to
it
say it. What's his name?
Colin Gregoire?
Yeah,
Yeah, 3 sacks. That's more than I got, so he must be really good.
yeah, he's really good. The only thing he missed is a smile.
Okay, well,
I think he
well.
didn't play last fall, so he was there like on a mission, like today I'm just gonna sack and nothing else. I'm like,
Well, I mean, he did it, so mission
yeah,
accomplished.
yeah, yeah. But you can be happy from time to time, or damn, I was close,
Yeah,
or
no,
maybe
not
I
if you look at
didn't.
those 3 sack games, Matt. You got to take it seriously from start to finish.
Yeah, I, okay, new rusher. I get it. Talk to me about 28-3.
Uh, it was really fun to play with the guys again. We started strong with both teams scoring on both like the first half, everyone scored on every drive except for the last one with like 30 seconds left or whatever. And then no one scored for a while in the second half. Miles looked really good. I feel like Miles has improved a lot
Yeah,
from last year. He was just, I feel like he was seeing the sort of 10 to 15 yard passes a lot better, and he was hitting them a lot better. Um, for me, it was my second game of the day, and honestly, my shoulder's already kind of giving out, so I don't know how long that's going to last. So I didn't quite have optimal power behind everything I was throwing. Um, but the team still played well, and defensively we played really well. And Miles had the ball with like I think 35 seconds left or something like that at the end of the game, and a 7 point lead. We had all 3 timeouts, but he immediately threw a deep pass that got picked off, and it's the one thing you can't do there. Just run the ball, take a knee, run the ball, punt. But so we had a chance at the end, and we marched down, and we were on the goal line, and it was the last play, and we caught the ball, but it was on like the half-yard line, so our guy was just outside of the end zone when he got flagged. So But super tight game, super fun game. Again, like I can't be that upset losing to Red Knot Skins. I like all those guys, so it was just fun. Honestly, it was just it was a fun game where you're not going to be like angry if you lost. You'll be happy if you
Hmm.
won, but you're not going to be super angry if you lost. So I don't know these. And that's a super fun game to play in. Both the games I played in, despite my shoulder kind of giving out on me, were a lot of fun. So um,
I saw your read. I saw the beginning of the game, and your read was really good. And even if you say your arm, your shoulder, you hit those windows.
yeah, no,
You know
it
where you
was.
throw, and it
I went.
was
I
right
didn't.
there.
I was rusty in the first game, but I was coming back a lot in that second game. I really limited my playbook though and my calling because like I didn't want to be trying different stuff when I haven't played in a year. Now you saw La Horde Buccaneers or
I saw, yeah, the start of. I just want to say one thing again. Sorry, with the Red Nut Skin, Craig Browning. That guy is a beast.
yeah. Oh no, he made a catch like on a I think a 13 or so 12 13 yard out and he caught it toe tapping both feet and he went to the ground with the ball in his hand like this and landed on the ground with the ball. Like the ball is being the thing that kept him up, and it didn't move in his hand when he hit the ground, which is one amazing. But two, if that ball moves at all, it's an incomplete pass because he hasn't made a football move, right? He's toe tapped in, so he's got his 2 feet, but then you must make a football move or
Wow.
survive contact with the ground. And when you're out of bounds, that ball can't move at all. And so he landed literally on the ball and it didn't move. And so that like I don't know how many people saw it all the way through because it looked if you just saw the beginning, it just looked like a nice sideline toe tap catch. But that ending part is to me by far the most impressive part. I think also a lot of people don't realize that like when you land out of bounds, that ball can't bobble at all.
No,
Like
if it's bubble, it's not a catch anymore.
because you're touching out of bounds and therefore the ball must be secured completely. Like if you land in bounds and you sort of land on your back, let's say, the ball can bobble all you want as long as it doesn't hit the ground. But if you land out of bounds, that ball has to be in 100% control of your hands the entire, like even a slight little that, it's incomplete. It must be completely in control of your hands. Anyway, so that last part of it it was one of the most impressive catches I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned his name. And 28-3 missed Nick Hertz also. That's a
Yeah. He's out for a couple weeks with a sprained finger, so he'll be back.
okay.
And hopefully that doesn't affect him too much when he is back.
He's a warrior. It's gonna be okay.
He'll be all right.
Yeah, the La Horde versus Buccaneers. I watched the beginning of the game, and David Saint Jean talked to me with Messenger after the game. It was, I think, in all the weekend, the most intense game of
Yeah,
Brossard.
it sounded like it.
It sound like that, yeah.
I was repping the other game, but yeah, there was a lot of noise back there.
Yeah, I was like, what the one of the teams like 1, 2, 3, right? And I'm like, whoa, calm down. It's not Sunday night live. But
It
hey,
honestly felt like I kept thinking it felt like a team had like secured the game or won the game because like every time something big happened, it was such a uproar that you're like, this has to be like the game-winning thing. And I'm like, but it's halftime. It's like how is it or something that sealed the victory? But it was every big play or big score was just like pandemonium, and it was great. It was great to hear.
yeah, they have passion. They missed that game, I'm pretty sure, and so they were both team happy to play, and it showed in the intensity. It was back and forth. David told me that they have to work on their defense. Uh, of what I saw, Buccaneers like their QB adjusts a lot in the way that he know what he likes to do now. It was a lot of run or really deep ball, like really deep ball. of what I've saw in the first half and before I leave, it was I see like he run, he throw deep, he run, he throw deep. It worked. So
Well, he
it's
can run.
yeah. So both QB play a great game, Guillaume and him, but still, David told me we have to work on our defense, but they have 4 picks.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It seems like they have to work on their offense more, keep their defense off the field.
Maybe I misread him, but yeah, of what I saw, their offense, he spread the ball pretty well. They are about 42, 42, 39 yards, the 3 top receivers. So it's maybe it's the time management. That's where they.
The way, like Buccaneers, if Buccaneers threw 4 picks and they scored 28 points still, and Lahore only scored 21, that seems like more of an offensive problem than a defensive problem.
Yeah. They have the ball at the end and they didn't score either. Oh,
Offensive
yeah.
problems.
Offensive problem. Yeah. 6, 9, 7. Hey, it's the first game of the season.
Oh yeah, everything's going to be tweaked and different by next week.
Yeah. And last game, Perchaud versus Free Agent.
First off, what is a perchaud?
It's a fish.
Okay, that's what I thought. So is it?
But they say les perchauds, like no E at the end, but I'm pretty sure they want to mean les perchauds. It's a fish.
That's what I was sent. That's what I was given as their name. So, yeah. So this was definitely a game of two new teams. Les Pechauds have clearly like a lot of physical talent on the team. Like
Okay.
those guys, when they figure out the game, are going to be a good team.
Okay.
They remind me a bit of the Buccaneers, like
Okay.
at the beginning. Um, maybe Buccaneers had a little bit more football knowledge in general. I'm not quite sure. I've only seen these guys play one game, so I'm not sure. But clearly they have some guys who have played football. Clearly they know the game to some extent. They have a lot of physical talent on the game. They have speed, they have height, they have guys who can catch. And their quarterback will be good when the game slows down for him. So those guys, I think, potentially to me, it just depends how quickly do they learn the game.
Mm-hmm.
By mid-season, they could be a good team, or maybe for like a lot of teams, it takes at least a full season. So maybe by fall they'll be a good team. Free agents, similar. They have Mike Iannella and Brendan Sadloff, who are both higher skill, good, experienced players. And that's going to help a lot. They have Barbara, who has experience and knows plays that center role well with the quick outs and the short hooks, those yards when needed. Their quarterback just needs to learn to use those. And at halftime, a few guys talked to them and said, like, you got to go short. You got to, because everything, like, it was.
Yeah, I
It
saw the
was the
stats.
classic new team thing of like every ball is a deep ball, like a
14
short.
and 42.
What's that?
You got Rafael of the free agent is the QB. 14 and 42.
Was that his stats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
if most of that was a bomb, man, if he focus on small, he has a great
Well,
arm.
like I said, like most of his passes, but both guys were a bit like this.
Okay.
But like even the short passes, like I'm saying, were not necessarily a bomb, but like over 10 yards. Like,
Okay.
like a 10, 15-yard pass is like the shortest pass they were throwing. But that's common, because like you're not used to the idea that first down is only 10 yards away. You don't got to make that in one play every time.
Mm-hmm.
And let your receivers do the work for you, and just get the ball in their hands in a place where they can do something with it, all that sort of stuff. So he started figuring it out a bit in the second half. To me, the big thing will be for them play calling. Like defensively, they'll be okay. They had one guy who's not on the roster right now, but he will be. He was trying out a game. He had 2 picks. He was really good. Obviously Mike and Brendan is really good defensively. Like he reads plays and breaks them up really well. Mike too, but I've just seen Brendan do that a lot.
Okay, cool to know.
So they will be good. They'll be okay by mid-season. But like as there so many parts are new, it takes time as well.
That was it for the first week. And next week, Div 2. Just tell me who you think is going to win. Jackrabbits versus Boucanier.
I feel like Buccaneers are riding high, so I gotta go with them. Uh,
I'm not
Red
mad.
Knots. But they played well. They played really well. They beat
Yeah, yeah.
Lahore, which I think might be the other. Like, Lahore is very good as well. So um, Red Knotskins and Spartans. Got to go with Miles.
Yeah.
I feel like his Miles and Craig together. That's tough to beat. And honestly, he didn't even throw to Craig that much, but you've got to put so much effort into covering Craig. Peugeot and Horde. I mean, it's going to be the Horde.
Yeah.
Peugeot,
I
they're
just
just not good.
hope those guys, when they lead by 21 or 22 or 24, they slow down a little. But
It'll just be a learning for Peugeot. That'll be what that is. To see. I think it was great for both those teams, Peugeot and free agents, to start against each other.
yeah,
To have the two, which is not, by the way, intentionally done. That was just luck of it. Um, but yeah, it'll be a learning experience against the Horde and free agents versus 28-3. Like whether I'm throwing or not, I'm gonna have to go with 28-3 on that one.
yeah, yeah. Especially if you throw.
Yeah, I'd say we should win. We should win. But again, learning experience for them. It'll be a lot. They'll be playing against both those teams are gonna now be playing against an experienced team, and they're gonna see like sort of better run offenses and defenses and start to understand like what it takes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna help them. And if they listen right now, what they should do it's also stay after your game and watch the other game and watch what happened, the defensive scheme, the offensive
Ask
scheme.
people about defensive schemes, and offensive plays.
Yeah.
Uh, because there are some basic things that a team can do that are really simple and can be explained so quickly. And like, so I would say any team, if you don't know what 3-2 and 4-1 are on defense, ask somebody, because that is absolutely, as a beginner team, what you should be playing like all day long.
I
Don't
make a
man, don't
video of it. It was super clear.
Yeah. Well, I've posted articles as well, but people don't go back and read that stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, ask someone like Matt or me or Kevin. Kevin would love it if you asked him. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
that explanation will not be short, by the way. But like, yeah, uh, ask somebody about what those things are: 3-2 and 4-1. If you don't know what they are, find out what they are.
Soon as possible. You have one bold prediction.
Well, I'll just say free agents are going to win, and I'll just take a dive, and then I'll be
Yeah.
right. um, So let's say bold prediction. I'm looking at the two leagues now. Okay, is it bold enough just to say like KOLB will beat the Outlaws, or is that no? That's not bold. Uh,
No, that's not bold enough. That's
okay,
like,
okay. Here's my bold prediction that if the brothers are not back, KOLB will beat the Outlaws. If
oh,
they are back, they'll win by at least 2 scores.
okay, that's bold. That's really bold. So
Sorry, I'm just picking a
yeah,
bolt that I haven't really thought this through, to be honest. Seems very unlikely now that I've said
I'm gonna go with Div 2 if you take Div 1. That's more simple than when we have 5 division.
it.
I'm gonna say the Spartan didn't have their real QB and they still missed some player. But I'm gonna go bold that that game's gonna finish with still one possession difference. I don't say who's gonna win. Pretty sure
That's
it's
not that bold. That's not that bold.
no
I don't accept it. I don't accept it. You gotta say Spartans win the game for it to be
Spartans
bold.
win the game.
At the very least.
Oh my god, yeah, but Spartans win
Okay,
the game. That's my bold prediction.
Spartans win on the last drive. That would be bold.
It's probably gonna be on the last drive if they
Well,
win.
that's what I'm saying. At least it gives that extra little oomph to it. I mean, it's gonna if they win, it's gonna be close. They're not gonna blow out the Red Knots games.
Well, maybe if Miles not there and Craig's not there, but
Oh yeah,
let's
but then
pretend everyone is
anything
there.
then it's just a random luck prediction.
Let's pretend everyone is there. My bold prediction is they win, but yeah.
Okay. I'll accept that as bold. I don't think it's as bold as saying Outlaws lose by 2 scores, but
Yeah, you're right.
but
By
I'll
two.
accept it. It's all right. It's all
Oh,
right.
thanks. All right.
I'm
I'm not
sure
gonna
Willie
like
will
you
be.
again. So thanks for all that time, John.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Hey, you're the best first guest I received, and
What a compliment.
I hope people gonna enjoy it. So if they have comment or anything, you can. If you're shy to send it to me, send it to John. As you can heard during all the podcast interview, he has a really like casual life and have nothing to do in the weekend. So send him
Yeah,
question.
always ask questions. It's always fine. Send them,
you
send them to Terry
have
or Kevin.
you have one last thing you want to say to Brossard, Montreal, whatever.
Sure. Well, this is the Brossard podcast. I'll say just to Brossard, but it was just genuinely so good to see everyone back there at the field. Park Illinois is starting, I feel, to get that Park LeBaire vibe that we had back in the day, or I mean, we still have, but that started back in the day. And
Yeah,
so you're starting to see that, with people hanging out, people bringing their families, and so I just really hope we keep growing in Brossard and that we really get that total like all day vibe so that we're there for like 4 or 5 time slots and 30 teams and just everybody, because right now it is such a, like I said, every team is fun to play against because everyone is positive and everyone's good and it's just such a nice environment right now. So thank you all Brossard players teams for making it such a nice place to play.
yeah. I think it's not on the Montreal fault, but I think that when you go over 30 teams, it's more difficult to stay with a fun vibe, family, stick all day. It's
For sure, just because the days are really long and teams don't all know each other the same way they do. You know, so the guys who are playing now in Brossard are going to be those core people who sort of like 5, 10 years from now still know each other and
yeah,
know the teams that have come from those teams and all that sort of thing. And that's really where that comes from. Like all these guys being there for multiple years. It's outside of 28-3 and their antics, it's rare for a team in their first year to sort of just like become part of the group.
yeah.
It tends to take a little bit of time, and so that's what's starting to happen, where you have teams that have been there for multiple seasons, and everybody's starting to get to know each other and hanging out a bit more, and just it being fun and casual, and every game enjoyable.
Totally agree. I love Brossard for real. It's relax, it's fun, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
bring my family also too soon. So
it's super mid 2010s LeBaire vibes or Montreal vibes.
yeah, yeah. So thanks again, John. I'm gonna
Oh,
let
thank
you
you
have
very much.
a nice day and see you on the field. If you're riffing my game, I'm gonna scream at you
That's fine.
politely.
I'll accept
Politely.
it.
Take care. Ciao, John.
Thanks.
Alors, comme vous avez pu le constater, c'est tout. Merci encore, John. J'ai dû faire quelques petits moments de montage. Je pense que la version complète de notre conversation était environ 2 heures de temps. Donc, soit je vais la mettre en ligne un jour, soit je vais charger plus cher, soit vous pouvez m'envoyer de l'argent, comme ça je vais envoyer mon fils à l'université un jour, puis là, non, je sais pas encore qu'est-ce que je vais faire. Il y a une chose qu'on a oublié de faire, c'est que j'ai pas parlé de Montréal, et chaque semaine, je tiens à cœur, pour toutes les 1 minute 14 qu'ils ont données durant leurs 2-3 années de podcast Will et Terry, je veux parler de Montréal. Donc, j'ai mes notes ici. Ce sera pas long. Voilà. Alors, Montréal. C'est la section Montréal. Il a fait beau, il a fait chaud. Mais heureusement, il y avait des jeux d'eau. Fin de la section Montréal. Sur ce, je vous souhaite une excellente semaine. N'hésitez pas à passer des commentaires, partager, liker. Dites-moi ce que vous avez aimé, ce que vous n'avez pas aimé, ce que vous auriez pris plus, ce que vous auriez pris moins. Puis on s'ajuste en cours de route. Là-dessus, je vous souhaite encore une fois une bonne semaine, bon match et surtout amusez-vous, blessez-vous pas. Ciao!